सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Good morning, friends and family, recovering addicts, recovering codependents, recovering adult children, recovering devotees, and I am happy to be here. We just had a weekend of steps 4, 5, and 6, actually. So doing step 5 today is right on point. So before we go into step 5, which is admitting to ourselves, God, and another human being the exact nature of our quote-unquote wrongs, or so there are wrongs, and there are also quote-unquote things that get in the way. So let's just put it that way. So let me just go, of course, through all of the steps first, because I want you to have, if you're just tuning in now, I would just like for you to have sort of a bridge. And just, it's always a reminder, whenever I approach any of the steps, I try to do it in a way where I can see the thread between from the very first step on to the step that I'm doing now, and to see that process so that my brain can be in the right space. So in the first step is that we admit we're powerless over our addictions, associated behaviors, and anarthas, and that our lives had become unmanageable in one form or another. Excuse me. And the second step is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves, Krishna, could restore us to sanity. Could and would restore us to sanity, I'm going to put there. So that's, we admit we're powerless. And then we have some faith that not a person, place, or thing, but just Krishna, or your God, as your understanding, can restore you to healthy thinking. We've got step 3, where we make a conscious decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of Krishna as we understand him. So now that we're in a space where we're the right size, that we know that we're not the doer, and then we have some faith that there is a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity, right? And then we can give our will and our lives over to the care of that power, which is not a person, place, or a thing. We make a conscious decision. So as we're moving forward, we need to be the right size, right? We need to be able to squarely understand our position. Doing the first 3 steps is squarely understanding that position. We'll go into the 4th step. We need to actually look at all of those things that got in the way in the first place. So in a way, step 4 is visiting all of the things that we thought we had power over, all of the things that we thought we can control, all of the things, resentments, fears, sadness, hate, jealousies, all of those, like all those 7 deadly sins, quote unquote, right? And in the 4th step, we take a very good look at those and we name them. We need to squarely look at them in the face and name them. And this is so, so, so important, because when we do that, we know exactly what we're dealing with. We can sort of roughly understand that we're powerless, right? And we can roughly understand that, our position here on earth, our position here in this body, in this lifetime. We can definitely have a greater understanding, but sometimes we need to understand what those details are and those things that we need to ask God to remove from us so that we can go further. So that's what we did in the 4th step. And if you don't know about that, listen to the previous episode, because it is the 4th step. So now I've arrived at the 5th step. What is the 5th step? The fifth step is to admit to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of these. So we've put it on paper. We've made that list. We've made a list of fears and resentments. We've even made a list of what our part was in it. And we really now need to share that. Why? You may ask why we need to share that. And it's really important to understand this. Because now that we have admitted we're powerless and all of that stuff that I just went through, exposing ourselves and bringing light onto the secrets that we kept for so long is an integral, huge part of this process. Because it helps to crush the pride, the shame, the blame, the resentment, the fear. We shed light on the darkness that we carry. And we do that in front of God, which is really powerful because it shows willingness. And we do that in front of another human being, which shows humility. And we do that in front of ourselves, which shows responsibility. So important. Those three elements are the most important thing. We need to take responsibility for those things. We don't need to take responsibility. Let's say if part of our resentment list is we were sexually abused, or we were physically abused, or we were raised in that kind of in a family that really emotionally abused us in some way. We don't take responsibility for the abuse. We do take responsibility for our recovery in that. And that's a part of it. So it's not about blaming, it's about taking responsibility. And it's so important for our recovery. If we do not take responsibility for actions moving forward, we're not going to be able to understand or get over these things, or at least be willing to have God remove them from us, because that's the sixth step, which we'll be getting to next week. So step 5 is so important. We sit down with somebody we trust and we go over all these things. And, some people, like traditionally in AA, some people would go to a priest, or some people would go to someone who has absolutely nothing to do with the 12-step program. And I think for a lot of, I would say in the 40s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, like that male dominated area, their shame was so great. They just would go to a priest, leave it there and come back. And I think a lot of that, like the typical, what you think of as a 1940s male alcoholic who would go and drink their whole paycheck away and leave their family with nothing to eat for the week, that kind of thing. Those are the kinds of traditional AA steps. But alcoholism, addiction, dysfunction, codependency, it's a way brighter scale. It's huge. And it's not just about going around and drinking our paychecks away, or shooting up our leaving our families behind and stuff like that. At the Bhakti Recovery Group, and not only at the Bhakti Recovery Group, but so many other 12-step programs have taken the 12 steps from AA because it is so successful in everything, in getting better and healing and having a specific, really very organized way of doing it, and very simple. So the 5th step is really about shining the light, taking responsibility, letting go, showing ourselves. I always say get naked before God. Not literally, but just exposing ourselves. And it's very, very, very humbling. It's so very humbling. So, like I was saying, you can go to whoever you'd like. I would recommend going to a sponsor. That's something how I did it. I went to my sponsor, and I sat down with my sponsor, and I went over my 4-step list. I went over my resentments. I went over my part in it. I went over what they did to me, just so that I could be clear. And why did we do this? It's to look at patterns. I saw a pattern. When I did my 4th and 5th step, I saw a pattern. a pattern of jealousy, a pattern of my actions when I was in fear or when I was sad or when I was hurt. And as soon as I saw those patterns, I wouldn't say the power, but I would say the power. I had the power to be able to say, okay, I see those patterns. Now that I see them and I am responsible for them and I own that, I can give that to God. I can ask God for the willingness. Am I willing to let those things go? Some of those patterns that we see, that we find in the fifth step, those are survival patterns as well. Some of those things I wasn't willing to let go of. And that's okay. This is not a one and done, people. It's just not a one and done. The most important thing is that we're willing. I'm going to say right here and right now, I still have one pattern, one thing that's so shameful for me, and that is showing weakness. It's still something I'm not willing to completely let go of because I was shown in life, and that's just the way it is. I got to leave it there. I can't struggle with it. It is what it is. I've let go of so many things. I've been willing to have so many things removed. But this particular one, showing weakness in front of others, showing sensitivity and weakness, is probably something that is the most difficult for me to grapple with. Why? Because I wasn't safe to show my emotions. I wasn't safe to show frustration. I wasn't safe to show that I was a weak person, not in school, nor at home, nor anywhere else. So I learned from a very young age to protect that part of me, and it's a survival skill. It's gotten a lot better, but it's not gone. Yeah. And you will see, if you do these steps, that there will be those things for you. And that's okay. I've been in the program for 28 years, and I haven't been able to let go of every single thing. And that's normal. It's okay. But to be willing is good. And in order to be willing to do anything, we need to know what that is, right? It's like, okay, do this, but if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing or what you're supposed to be looking at, there's not really much you can do. So, yeah, I guess that's it. We made the inventory, and we share that with ourselves, God, and another human being to get to the right size, to get rid of the shame and the blame, and to take responsibility. All right. I hope that this helps. And this was a kind of a short one, but it was short and sweet. And let's go into the sixth step next week, my friends. I hope you have a great week, and see you soon. Hare Krishna. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.